Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
welcome back.
I'm interrupting you. Sorry,
right.
go ahead.
We're not on video, so I wasn't even going to be able to announce you.
Here I am. It's Cole, everybody.
Why don't you go ahead and finish the intro?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Let's Debrief podcast. We're your hosts. I'm your guest host, Cole Zimmerman, and this is Ashley Zimmerman, my lovely wife. And
give me a night, like if a stranger was to ask,
What's
like
up?
for an introduction of me, like how would you introduce me?
It's a lot of pressure to put
Oh,
on.
thank goodness you locked up those dogs.
Dogs are barking. If a stranger, you're saying if a stranger walked up to me and said, introduce me to your wife, what would I say? I would say she is the host of a world-renowned podcast. She is full of wit and whimsy, and she's beautiful, and she's very nice.
You're not going to talk about my badonkadonk?
Well, if a stranger's meeting us, that's probably why they walked up to us in the first place. So, you're like, give me the lowdown on this.
I gotta know who she is.
Anyway.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome.
I mean, truth be told, it is Tuesday night before this podcast goes up, and this whole time was kind of planning to do it by myself, and I was like, I gotta record the podcast. The thing with not doing it with Jenna anymore is that at least it was like on Wednesday at this time we'll be recording the podcast, like, because it works for both of our schedules. Now it's a little too loosey-goosey for me, where
you can let it slip through the cracks.
And it could be the night before, and
and sometimes it's the night before, and you're like, hey, Cole, you want to do it with me?
And
I got nowhere to go. We live together, so here I am.
And I was like, Cole, you should do it with me, and he was like, okay. So we're gonna do a little life update, little catch up. But then I told Cole I wanted him to write down his ins and outs for the year. Well, I don't even know if it's like for the year, but is it just like in general?
Some of them are in general, some of them are for the year. And I feel like it's mainly just it's a declaration of a lot of things that I stand by. I'm definitely amping this up more than it should be. But yeah. And you haven't heard any of them. You definitely know some of them.
Yes. And he said,
I'm just going to be letting it rip.
He said he was trying to make some of them funny too.
No, they're all very serious.
They should be taken very seriously. Toes, cut them off.
Yeah.
Don't want to see them.
Get rid of them. That is my first one.
Actually?
Yeah.
Like that you don't want to see people's toes.
You know how much I hate flip-flops.
Oh, yes.
So, out, toes, put them away. Don't wear flip-flops ever unless you're actively in the water. If you're in like a dorm shower or you're actively at the beach, that's fine. But if you're in public, there's no reason to be wearing flip-flops. And even, we wouldn't have to jump all the way into the whole list here, but this was going to be my first one. In is, contrast to that, covering your toes all the time. And by that, I mean wearing slippers in the house. Big fan of that. We are a big slipper household.
I haven't put my slippers on since I spilled my green juice all over them. I still need to wash them. Sick owl.
That's foul. But yeah, anyway, we'll get back to the rest. That's a little teaser of what's to come.
Yeah.
So very serious stuff.
They're like, I'm going to skip to minute 30 until you guys actually
talk about it. If we got more riveting flip-flop discourse, then...
then you'll catch me there.
Yeah.
So what's your life update, Cole? What have you been up to?
My life update? You've been here the entire time. Today's Tuesday, as you said. On Saturday, we just got back from Florida. Which, if you are our friends, or even, I feel like you talk about it on the podcast all the time, we are in Florida more often than anyone has the right to be.
I mean, it's the second month of the year, and we only didn't go, we went in November, we went to California in December, so we didn't go to Florida in December, and then we went in January, and now we went in February. Yeah. We are grounded from at least March and April. Who's to say what's going to happen after that?
Ew. Yeah, it's so easy. And obviously, like you've said, we are big theme park people. You grew up on Disney, so we have Disney passes now. Your parents live there. It's how long is the flight? Like an hour 45?
Yeah.
And it's like $20 on Spirit or whatever.
Yeah, Spirit is basically like, we'll pay you to get on board.
Yeah, and I do it every time.
But this time we didn't fly.
Yes,
oh, also, I told people last week that I was going to record with my mom, and that was going to be this week's episode. Genuinely, we did not have time.
Yeah, there was not.
It is
not a
anytime
minute.
we go, it's always very chaotic, never at home, and so she was with us like at a lot of parks, and then we were out all day Friday, so I literally didn't have a chance to record with her.
Which, like, I kind of hate about some Florida trips we've done. Like, when we went in January, it was very nonstop. It was like, you know.
I loved January.
I mean, it was fun, but like, I don't like being nonstop all the time on a trip, but it's also like, that's kind of what you get in Orlando. That's like, you're coming for the mouse. You know? Oh.
That's not what I meant.
You're going to Florida for the mouse. But it's like, you know, to get your money's worth, you know, you got to be there all day, and like you're there for X amount of days, whatever. But yeah, like you said, we did not fly this time. We drove.
Yes.
Which
and it was
abysmal.
Absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
I think I recorded last week's episode the day that we got there on Monday night.
Yeah.
So like on the way down, it was not bad. On the way back, we had to drive nonstop and we even considered at one point driving back to Charlotte.
Give them or did you say this on the last podcast?
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah. Okay. We considered driving back to Charlotte, staying there, and then getting up. So our main thing was being back for church on Sunday. Like, obviously we work for a church and we don't like being gone on Sundays. And so, what?
Just get a little closer.
Okay, a little closer.
Sorry.
He's wearing the headphones. So he's listening in on what you guys are hearing. So yeah, we like to be at church on Sunday. So I literally even considered driving to Charlotte, staying the night, and then getting there early. Maybe ice just fell out of the ice maker. And then maybe getting up at 3 a.m., hitting the road, and then pulling up to church because it's a 7-hour drive.
That would be crazy. Imagine that feels so performative if we showed up at church and we're like, oh yeah, we woke up in Charlotte this morning at 3 a.m.
Even like when you get back from a trip, it's always just like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. No jet lag from me.
Yeah, I made it a priority to be here. What about you?
Yeah.
We're gone too often to not.
Yeah, I feel like all of our friends and everybody at church is just like, all right, shut up.
Yeah,
Every time we come back from a trip, it's like, all right, whatever.
One of our bosses, I like told him that we were gone this upcoming weekend, and he's like, where are we off to this time? And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say. Oh, did you say on the last one why we drove?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had Naomi, shout out to Naomi from Let Her Cook, texted me and said, you're going to love the Peloton.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will love the Peloton, but we were an hour outside of, which reminds me to text my mom. We were an hour outside of Orlando when I realized that we left the Peloton shoes in Florida.
Which, if you are a Peloton, or even just like you've been to a cycling class, you got special shoes to clip into the pedals.
I know. Everyone was like, can't you just like wear regular shoes? And I'm like,
yeah, which you could, but it would just be
harder.
harder.
But like they would get away from you.
Yeah, they're not like normal bike pedals. They're like real tiny. And
there's like no option to like not clip in.
But yeah, so we got the Peloton. I also brought some golf clubs down there. I brought her dad's golf clubs down there. And one of my favorite travel plays we've had in a while is we brought our Breville. We brought our espresso machine, which was very nice to have on the trip. And then
Cole would literally wake up every morning and like, obviously I feel like guys just don't need that much time to get ready. He would wake up, like brush his teeth, maybe still in his pajamas, would go start making 5 coffees for everybody, like an absolute king.
Yeah, we were there. It was us and our friend Peter, beloved member of the pod.
Yes, he also said that he would come on an episode soon.
That is big.
He would co-host with me.
We were there with Peter and then our other friends, Brett and Bryce. And I knew it was just one of those things where I'm like, I have the coffee machine here. Everybody's going to, like, Peter also has a Breville, so he could, like, do it by himself. But I knew Brett and Bryce would be like, oh, like, could you make me a coffee? You know.
That's so them.
Yeah. Or, like, I would be making coffee, and it would be like, oh wow, that'd be nice if I had one. So I was just getting ahead of it, and I was like, I'm just gonna rip 5 lattes.
And we were always
now.
waking up before everybody else. So literally, as people were waking up, he was handing them their coffee.
Yeah, the first day, Peter and Bryce slept in a little bit, so I knocked on their, I tapped them on the shoulder with a latte in the hand. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a good play, but yeah, that was great to have. And then we drove back on Saturday. We left at 7 and had a few stops for food and gas and bathroom and whatever. And we got back at like 11. You think 11:30?
It was like 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is tough. That's an entire day.
Yeah, I don't want to hit on this like too much or be like so dramatic, but it genuinely was awful. And my parents do that. Like, they've only flown once, and they've lived in Florida since October of 2022, and they've only flown once.
That is wild. I didn't know that for sure.
Obviously, it's 15 up, 15 back. You could not pay me to do that again.
You could pay me to do it again.
Like, what's your rate?
Oh, I didn't think about that. My thing, the hardest part was, which I feel like you would agree with this, is just the timing of it. We left at 7, like I said, and it's February, so like it gets dark at like 6, maybe like 5:30 or 6. Mm-hmm. And so that meant the last like 5 hours of the drive were just in the darkness.
And it was also, which I'm sure you're about to say, was while we were heading. Did you know that if you live in Pittsburgh, it takes like 4 hours to get through West Virginia coming from Florida?
The route that we were going through is like, if you can picture West Virginia on a map, which I hope you can, we were going through like the whole, like the meat of it, like the longest route through West Virginia that you could, from like top to bottom. And that was all in the dark, which like is not ideal, I would say. I do like driving at night sometimes, depending on the road, if it's like well lit, because there's usually no one around and you can just like, cook and like do whatever.
I hate it.
But yeah.
Ever since the deer.
She is.
I mean, honestly, the deer
upset.
was one thing. It was the bear that really did me in.
Yeah, the bear honestly was something special. But yeah, so that was the worst bit. And I was driving at first, and Ash got very stressed out. And then she was like, I gotta drive.
I like to be in control.
Yeah. And so that was tough.
I feel like cumulatively throughout the day, though, it was like pretty split.
Yeah, for the most part. You probably did a little bit more just because of that bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, you drove like the middle of the day, I feel like. But yeah, we'll never do that again. It fulfilled the purpose of us having a car there to like shuttle our friends around, and bringing the Peloton back and dropping the golf clubs off. Other than that,
they're successful, but yeah.
We have no reason to do that again. You will catch me spending $50 on Spirit flights.
Yeah, if the flights were like, we could only get them for like $600, I'd be like, okay, then I'll drive or something like that. But it's literally the cheapest flight I've ever been on, and it's so short, and it's
credit card corner real quick, because everyone, I've gotten texts, okay, so I'm just gonna assume that you like it. This is my little tidbit for today. The next credit card we're looking at is actually a Spirit credit card, and here's why.
Believe it or not.
Because I've seen a sign-on bonus be like 65,000 points, and I don't know how much like you have to spend to like get it. But Spirit's like points for like flight redemptions are so cheap. Like you can fly from Pittsburgh to Orlando round trip, that's all we ever take, to Florida. We're actually taking Spirit to LAX this weekend too. But for 6,000 points round trip. Like, so out of 65,000 points, like how many free flights is that? Wild. And like free trips. And
10 is the answer.
Oh, nice. And they fly international too, to like Mexico and like the
they're
different
not totally
Bahamas and everything.
Right? It's just
like they don't go to Europe.
I feel like Spirit planes can't go further than like 4 hours. Like
they just top out.
Yeah, that's obviously not actually true, but I feel like they go international. We flew them to Cancun from Orlando
a year ago.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Shout out to Ryan and Tam. Happy anniversary. Thanks for flying us to Cancun.
It was lovely. Yeah. but I feel like they don't go to Europe or anything.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, they go a lot. Like they fly to Costa Rica. A lot of places in like Central and South America.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're a spirit girly, or if you have, or I don't know, I know some people have beef with spirit flights. And I was talking to Ed about it, but he was like, you don't have kids, so if like it gets delayed or like something happens, like it doesn't affect you that much. And I'm like, no, 100%, that's fair. But anyways, that's my little credit card corner of the day.
Just to hit on that, I feel like I wouldn't even consider us spirit girlies, if you will. Nobody
wants
spirit.
To be.
Like, it's just like not a necessity, but it's.
And we take a backpack
like
every time so we don't pay
thing.
for bags. But also I read, aka looked on TikTok, and people said that you get like $20 bags when you have the credit card.
That's nice.
So it's like nice for that reason.
I just know that the physical card is like fluorescent yellow.
I think it's like gray and yellow.
Oh, that's gross.
That's gross. But anyways, that's your little credit card corner of the day. If you want some cheap flights, and cross your fingers that you can get there. At least in my thought too, if something gets canceled, like getting money back from them is kind of hard sometimes if something gets canceled, but I'm assuming if it's points, like maybe it's just easier to throw it back in your account.
Well, we'll see.
We shall see. Any other life updates for you? Talk about how was Florida for you? Like,
Florida was lovely for me. I don't know. This is my confession that I did not listen to your last episode.
You never listen. To be fair, you edit it, so
I get the cliff notes. So I don't know if I am gonna repeat anything you said. But we went mainly for a Laney concert on Friday night, which was lovely. It was. I
was gonna say this will be like the main, like life update, because like everything other than that's like went to Universal,
brief rundown. We got there on Monday. I played some golf with your dad. Everybody else got there Tuesday. We went to Universal on Wednesday. We went to Hollywood Studios on Thursday. We went to Volcano Bay, the water park, on Friday. And then it was Laney. So, that's nothing of note.
Now you can understand why I didn't have time to record with my mom.
Yeah, it was pretty packed. But so we were at Laney, and let me just paint you a picture here. If you have been to Universal before, you've been to Universal City Walk, which is like you don't need a ticket to get in, but it's like a bunch of bars and restaurants and like shops and whatever. And there's a Hard Rock Cafe there, where that's where Laney was. So we, after the water park, we go and like get dinner at City Walk, and then we like eventually mosey over, and there were 2 openers, which was pretty crazy. I feel like that's pretty rare that there's 2. I feel like it's just like one. Yeah, it's usually one guy.
Laney has always had 2 openers. I feel like that.
Really?
Yeah, last time they had that girl, and then read my mind. Surfaces.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, all right. Well, there were 2 openers, so we're like, the doors were at like 7, and I'm like, 2 openers. They're probably not going to go on till like 9 something. So we were like kind of taking our time, and we weren't trying to be like front row in the pit or anything. So we're like, we'll slide in whenever we, feel fit or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when we get there, like 8 maybe.
Yeah.
And we actually caught both of the openers, which I was surprised, and they were both really good. And then Hazlitt, who's the second opener, he finishes his set at like 8:45, 9-ish. And we're like, okay, Laney's probably going to be on in the next like 15, 20 minutes. And then it's in kind of like the transition moment, whatever, where like just kind of the house lights are on, and there's like a curtain that fell. Yeah. And so like the band could like switch stuff over. Yeah. And it's clearly like the curtain's going to be a part of like their big opener thing or whatever. And we're just like all like hanging out, and we hear like I can't describe like how for probably 30 seconds, Ash and I both thought that this was intentional, and it was like part of like the intro experience, but it literally sounded like a sound effect of something being unplugged, and it was like and then like boom, and then there were 2 projector screens for like like the video feed, and they literally showed like
lost connection,
Yeah,
basically.
it was like an HDMI loading screen. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, they want us to think that, like, the power went out. And then it'll, like, get your attention.
And then it just goes, all my favorite songs are from...
And then we quickly found out that it was not a bit.
45 minutes later, we were like, this is the longest bit of all time.
It was all too real. That the power went out, and then the emergency lights must have been what were on already, because the lights didn't go out. But they were just like emergency floodlights or whatever. The
lights went out for like 3 seconds.
That's true.
And I was terrified, which I thought bad things. I was like, I'm sprinting for the door.
Yeah. So the power went out, and we are standing kind of like behind and to the left of the like sound booth, the tech booth, so we can see all their screens are black, all their monitors are black and everything. We're like, okay, like this is actually a problem. And that's when I stepped in, and I was no. But also
you're like, I know Mike the Dominic, so like, let me go ahead and do this for you.
What do you need, an HDMI plugged in? Also, at the same time, Peter was in the bathroom, and he said...
I forgot about that.
I think he was walking out of the bathroom, so it didn't go dark in the bathroom.
Didn't Bryce go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay.
But Peter was walking back from the bathroom, and there was someone on a radio that was like, we lost power, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, what was... Oh, it was like, there's too much haze in the building. And so he came back and gave us that intel. And so we were like, okay, like, how long is this going to take? And then they start opening doors, because also, I don't know if this was just like a placebo thing, but I felt like it got really hot in there. So I was like, did the AC also die? But they kept opening doors, like every door around to like clear out the building, because I don't know. It was something with like, there was too much haze
had set off, which like, again, it like set off the fire alarm, but like the alarm never went off. It was just like... The sound of the alarm didn't go off, but it was flashing on the walls.
Yeah, like the light.
So I don't really know how they contained that, because that would have been miserable.
That would have been really tough. Yeah, so I don't know if it was something like it set it off and then it like tripped a breaker, because also like the power went out in some capacity. Anyway.
We listened to Paul Klein's podcast, and he said that it was the haze that set off.
Okay, but that is true.
In the end, it doesn't really make a ton of sense, but...
Yeah. So then that's at like 9 something, and then... it's probably down for like 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, they were, it was like 45. They were supposed to go on at 9:15.
Well, it was like 30 minutes, and then the pre-show track started playing.
Yes, this was like another form of torture.
It like, also some people were like leaving because they're probably getting claustrophobic, and they like left and went to the lobby, and then like lost their spot and like were trying to come back. And then at probably like 9:30, I forget exactly what happened, but I think like they started testing lights, and then you heard like the guitar techs like tuning guitars and whatever and making sure everything was good. And you could kind of see like the screens flashing on. So people were like, all right, like we're almost there. And then I don't know if this was intentional, like if this would have happened independent of this or not, but they start playing like a pre-show track. And it's just
like loop.
Yeah. It's just like a slow building, like synth pad where it was like, you know, whatever, and it like kind of builds, and they add like drums or whatever, but it literally went on for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think I took a video of it, and so I'll post it on our story to give perspective.
Yeah,
of it just being like, and everyone, like when it started, had their phones out like ready to record the opener.
Get the intro.
Like by minute 5, they were just like, okay, come on.
You saw like 200 phones when it started, and then they kept going down one by one. All you heard was like...
Also, for perspective, like we did the story ourselves, but this was the situation at hand, is that we had walked in parks for 2 days, and then like went to the water park the same day. We didn't go home at all. Yeah. We went to the water park that day, and then we showered at the water park, and then it's in the same parking lot as the
it was at
as like where the show was at. And so we just like went over to the City Walk for dinner. So we have 2 days of 20,000 steps behind us each day, and now we're standing, and we didn't have anything to like lean on, and our legs are just shot. And so them going on 30 minutes late like doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it had a big impact because the boys had to be up for their flight at 4:30 to leave the house.
Yeah.
And their flight was at 7 a.m. And then Cole and I wanted to get on the road as early as possible to get back to Pittsburgh. I was like, I don't want to be driving at like 3 a.m. So we all, like, the 30-minute delay, and then it was like still a 90-minute show. We didn't walk to the car until 12:30.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is tough.
That was tough. And yeah, the show itself was amazing. I feel like I would venture to say we've seen Lainey 4 times now, which is crazy. I think that was the best one.
Yeah. It's like fun, and we've only seen them once. Well, I guess like the radio show that just happened. Like we saw them for, but that wasn't even like a real show.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a set or anything, but we've seen them in Pittsburgh twice, and I feel like he always just brings his bare minimum to Pittsburgh. New York, I feel like, was really fun because it was like we're at freaking Radio City Music Hall, and then this was also it's just we always say this, like it's just so interesting how bands, like the venues that they will occupy, like depending on the city that they go to. We saw them in New York City at a huge music hall, and that holds I don't know how many people. But then you're telling me that they can't even sell out Stage AE?
Yeah, it's so weird because I think it was 2022. We saw them at Stage AE.
Yeah.
And it was like not even full. And it was outside.
And we saw them in 21. Wait, was that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2021.
Yeah, 21 in New York City. And then also, like when they just go on tour in Asia too, they are selling out these massive, like I guess like concert halls or like whatever. But it's just so interesting.
I'm very surprised by this. I was just looking up the capacity. Radio City Music Hall holds 6,000 people.
6,000?
Yeah.
That does not seem like a lot.
Yeah, because Stage AE outside capacity is 5,500.
Wow.
So, anyway.
Really makes you think.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But yeah, I agree. I feel like, especially for Lainey, like it's so... They're obviously like, they're not an underground band anymore, but they're also not nearly like...
Not getting nominated for Grammys or anything.
Which, yeah. Yeah, they're not like underground, but they're definitely not like giant. But it's just so, like you said, so inconsistent where like they'll do a little thing. They sold out the Forum like 2 years ago and did like the whole live album. And that is huge. Like Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, I don't know. Taylor doesn't go to the Forum. But like Harry Styles goes to the Forum. And it's like, tell me Paul Klein's also. It's just, I don't know.
The fan base like just around the country is just very interesting.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent.
Like look up Orlando Hard Rock Cafe Hard Rock, whatever, because I felt like that was also really small, but I didn't see anything that said the capacity. We must wait.
3,000.
And our night was sold out. The next night was not sold out.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think they sold out our night and then added the second one.
Yeah.
Because But yeah. Anyway,
that's the Lainey Discord.
That's the whole Lainey discourse. But I
think.
Something else
you had something else?
No, it's gone now.
Oh, okay. I think that's it for life updates, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything else you want to tell the people before we get into what Cole Zimmerman deems in and what he deems out?
This is where all the listeners are gonna dip out.
Yeah, they're like, I don't care what he has to say. This is so funny because I literally just threw this at him like last night. I was like, you should do like an ins and outs list. I feel like it would be really funny. How many funny ones do you have?
That's up to you to decide. That's probably like half and half.
Can this sit like this and be okay?
It'll probably fall over time. I don't know.
Whatever.
All right, so
let's get into it.
Let's dive right in. What time are we at here? Okay, we're about half an hour. So most of these, I don't think all, but most of them are like in a pair of like this is out, therefore this is in.
Okay.
You know, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said earlier, out toes / flip-flops, in slippers. It's a little different in the summertime, obviously, but there is truly nothing like, Tanner also recently got on this wave like a month ago. There's nothing like, being outside in the winter or whatever and then coming in Your feet are... Sorry, everybody. Oh, my gosh. I gotta warn Jenna about that.
We just ate dinner. And Zoe's still processing.
I didn't even feel that coming. There's truly nothing like being outside in the winter in like, you know, snow boots or whatever. Your feet are cold. You come inside. And then what, are you just going to wear socks? No. You got to get your little toesies in some nice warm slippers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have to hit on that too hard. Next one, in for 2024, cereal. Okay. When did we stop eating cereal as a society?
I will tell you exactly why. Because it's full of sugar.
Well, not all of it.
I know, not all
Honey
of
Nut
it.
Cheerios, maybe that's
There's
a bad
something
example.
wrong with Honey Nut Cheerios for sure. I feel like you always bring them
That's
up.
definitely true. To be fair, compared to like, you know, Fruity
Frosted
Pebbles.
mini wheats.
Yeah, you know, frosted, whatever.
It's the frosted, that's the sugar.
That's true. There are good cereals, and I will also give credit to Tanner on this. There's nothing.
Tanner really did get you in your cereal phase.
There is truly nothing like a nighttime bowl of cereal. Like when you usually, probably going to hit it in like an hour and a half. We had dinner at, 6 or so. And then, maybe like 9 or 10 p.m. A little nice treat. It's not, it's not a dessert, but it's like a little nighttime. It's an end cap, if you will. So then out would be not having cereal.
You are absolutely canceled if you're not having cereal. That's so funny. I mean, I like the cereal that you get. I mean, it's literally just like a healthier version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which was my favorite cereal as a kid.
Yeah.
But
also for breakfast, it's true. It's obviously not like entirely filling. It's not going to be the same as like a, eggs and bacon and, whatever type of breakfast.
Yeah. I feel like every time
better than nothing.
Every time I have cereal for breakfast, like an hour later, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I had cereal for breakfast.
That's true. It's nice for, I feel like some people, myself included, I'm never hungry as soon as I wake up, but sometimes I wake up and then I have to get ready and then go. And so by the time I get hungry, I'm already I'm at church or I'm already doing whatever I need to be doing. So like a little bit of cereal, a little, a banana, a fruit, whatever, like a muffin, a little something. Anyway, my next one, out is backwards hats. What are we doing?
I feel like, at least as far as like our friend group goes, that backwards hats have always been out.
Yeah, I agree. I also know that I'm not speaking to our audience right now, but I just know that as a society, we're not over backwards hats, and we definitely should be.
There is something attractive about
it. It's
Why are you so against them?
It just looks bad, and also to be fair, there's like a bad connotation that is very much like a frat guy type of
Chad,
thing.
yeah,
which take that with a grain of salt, but it's also like you are wearing a hat for a reason, and you are then immediately eliminating that you're the brim's gone, you're not blocking any sun, and it's gross,
Okay.
Not entirely related, but in
forward facing
I just say to you the same thing. In not wearing backwards hats, also, I will need to explain this a little bit.
Fedoras.
No. Growing your hair out a little bit. I feel like there is for guys specifically, there's such a thing, I feel like after like 2016, 2017, the real tight skin fade, undercut, whatever thing was really popular. That's fine. It works for some people. Some people have like, full buzz cut. That was a trend like last year. And that's fine. But we need to, put that in the past. I think that every single guy mainly, needs to just see what it's like to just grow their hair out a little bit. Not like full, like shoulder length, anything crazy, like growing it out over years. But it's like, if you regularly get your hair cut like once a month, maybe go like 2 or 3 months and then see what happens. Because, maybe you got like some natural wave or like a curl that like, you're not seeing because you keep cutting it so short. And it just, I don't know. It pisses me
you're
off.
speaking from personal experience as well.
Well, yeah, I also have grown my hair out because I just haven't thought about getting it cut.
And your wife likes it a lot.
Yeah, she also says that. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything on that?
No, just think it's funny.
Yeah.
Backwards hats and hair.
So I have all my silly ones up front. Should I mix them up?
Yeah, mix them up.
Okay.
I don't want to be snoozing by the end.
That's true. Okay. This one, this definitely was, I'm prefacing it more than I have to. This is not directed at anybody that we know.
I'm scared. I'm so scared.
It's not that bad. But it definitely is something that I've done in the past. Out is having friends that you always complain about. I am so tired of, and it's so draining for everybody. If like I feel like it's a big thing in college because everybody rolls in like big groups and it's like, oh, my whole floor or whatever. But it's always like, oh,
have you seen so and so?
Yeah.
Or when he said this?
Yeah, and like you leave like a function or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, like this dude just sucks. Like he's so annoying, and like I just can't stand being around him. And it's like, if that is the case, don't be around him anymore.
Yeah,
like
remove yourself.
He is not upset at all about you being annoyed at him. Is that weird?
It's not hurting him.
It's draining on you to complain about him all the time. And like if you are leaving, and this is obviously this goes for everybody, but like if there's anybody in your life that you're like, I just don't, they're so annoying to talk to, and like they make such dumb decisions, and it's just cut them off. Either cut them off or give them more grace and stop complaining about it and try to help better that situation, better that relationship type of thing. I feel like I have definitely been in this situation, and I have seen many people in this.
Who's he talking about?
One specifically.
Cole got a little too personal.
All right, we're back in. Yeah, so in contrast to that, my in is either refining your group, that would be
cut them off.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like if it is like someone beyond, not beyond saving, but like
beyond repair.
If there's someone that's so annoying or so toxic or so XYZ whatever, like you just stop being around them if it's so emotionally draining on you, or you can kind of rise to the occasion and like either give them more grace or whatever the situation is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just feel like that's very anyway. Out Snapchat. Yes. So incredibly tired of it.
I was gonna say we got in an argument. Definitely wasn't an argument. We got in a discussion with Brett and Bryce about this.
Does it count as an argument when I'm right? Like if
my point of view is correct, does it count as an argument?
It was at Lainey. I said to Brett,
because Brett was Snapchatting.
Yeah, he was Snapchatting, and I said, "You were too old to be using Snapchat.
You are 25 years old.
You're 25 years old."
Poor Brett. I'm sorry, Brett, that we're airing this out.
No, I mean I said this to his face too.
But now everybody knows that he uses Snapchat.
That's true. And what was his defense? Or no, Bryce had a defense that was like, well, like when you're, like you want to be talking to your girlfriend and like throughout the day, and you want to like emote with your face, or you want to like say like, or like show them like what's going on or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine if you're dating a 16-year-old. Like, sorry, that's
Cole
mean.
came for blood today.
It is such an ick for me, and it's just so clearly, I don't know, I'm obviously being dramatic, and I'm not beefing with you personally if you use Snapchat. But it just, for me personally, it was such, and I feel like everybody our age, it was such a big thing in high school and middle school even.
Remember in college when it was a big deal for you, and then you were like, I haven't logged into my Snapchat in a long time, and I was like, oh my gosh, let's log in and look at the old memories, and then there was a bunch of memories with your ex-girlfriend,
so we're
and
gonna
I was
cut
really
this
sad
out.
about that.
So we're gonna yeah, but it's like it feels so like 17 years old.
Yeah.
And it is
was it before Instagram or no?
No.
No.
I'm pretty sure Instagram was from like 2007.
No way.
2012 maybe?
2012.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, it obviously like it was a big thing when we were that age, but it also like the whole thing of like streaks and just like sending like a picture of your forehead.
Oh my
it just
gosh,
feels
the things
so
that
juvenile.
You would do, not you specifically, like anyone would
Yeah.
do to keep a streak alive. Like, okay, I like, especially like in like my high school culture, like when we'd go on missions trips, it was like, okay, so Haley has my login and she's going to log into my Snapchat and keep up my streaks.
Have service.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
In contrast to that, in would be touching grass.
So that was one of your funny ones.
Yes.
That was really
No,
good.
that was also serious. Oh no. It all went away. Sorry.
Oh. How'd that happen? Or how does that happen? Like you just shake it and it goes away?
Oh no, I just started a new note. Sorry. Well, I'm kind of hopping around here. Okay.
Touching grass.
Out is drinking at bars and clubs and stuff like that. Well, obviously, clubs, that's like a whole different thing.
If you man's on the floor.
I feel like also, I feel like as a culture, as a society, we're definitely moving further away from drinking as much as we used to in general. And especially for our age demographic of like mid 20s, it's like drinking was a huge thing, early 20s, college, like whatever. And now it's kind of like you're easing out of it. But this specifically, if you're going to like a nice restaurant and you get a nice cocktail and you get a nice wine with your meal or whatever, that I feel like is totally fine. And then also, I'm adding so many caveats to my own thing. But if you're going to like a kind of like a crappy like dive bar thing where like the drinks are like $5, and it's like a fun vibe, that I feel like is also fine. But it's just crazy to me how much of our culture is just around like
$20 drinks.
To hang out, I have to spend $60 somewhere that I don't want to be.
Money. It's
just wild to me. So then my in on that is making fun little cocktails at home.
Yeah.
And like figuring out, Bryce is very into this. Joe also makes a lot of his own syrups for coffee and cocktails and stuff like that.
Joe would like, when he worked with us, he would just show up to work and be like, I made an orange vanilla maple blossom latte today.
And I was all about it.
All from my syrups. and I loved him for it.
Yeah. I just feel like that is so much more fun if like, we're at home, and like maybe you're making dinner and I'm like, oh, like I'll make, this type of cocktail or whatever. And it's like, if you do want to drink, or just don't drink in general and you just have a little special drink. Obviously, I'm talking to the right people about that.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast that, like, obviously the last year I didn't drink. And since 2024, I've had, like, a few here and there. But definitely, I feel like, honestly, the only ones I've had have been in Florida. Like, I've had maybe, like, a glass of wine here or there, like, since, like, I've been home and stuff. But, oh, gosh, I have MacBid auctions that are ending.
Oh, boy.
So I'm not like super obsessed, but when I feel like the moment calls for it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, I feel like in like high school, college, whatever, whenever you start drinking, it is often like, well, I want to get the cheapest thing possible to get me like drunk the fastest.
Yeah. Because
like I like being drunk and it's like a fun thing. And I feel like in the right context, there's a time and place for that. But I don't know. I feel like being in my mid-20s and stuff like that, like, obviously, I'm going to sound so pretentious, but like there is something to like, pairing like a wine with a meal and like, a certain cocktail and liquor and whatever. And it's like, sometimes you do just enjoy like the taste of the drink and like just a little buzz, a little something like that. But yeah, anyway, that's my whole deal on that.
Spending $20 on one drink.
That's
canceled.
Crazy. Yeah. I did it again. Oh dear. Okay. Out. Which this is definitely a cold take. It's been this way for a while. Out network television. I was baffled watching the Super Bowl. It was on CBS or something. The amount of ads for shows that I had never heard of and it's like season premiere of Fire Country, and it's like,
Yes.
what are we talking about?
Yes.
Who is watching this?
It's like that and ABC, and it's like, I cannot believe that Grey's Anatomy is in its like 27th season.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely don't know what season it is at this point. But
Everyone
I'm like,
is
no
dead
way.
or gone.
No.
Yeah.
This needs to be canceled.
What are we doing?
Where do I sign the petition?
Yeah.
This needs to end.
It's just all this absolute garbage that, like, I feel like it's literally just made to be on in the background at like a dentist waiting room or something. Or it's just like, like, I feel like a lot of people, our parents, our generation, or maybe even older, are just like, oh, the TV's just on all the time, and it's like, oh, I'll catch a little bit of the show. I'll catch what's going on in Fire Country. But
Fire Country.
A sub beef of that is game shows. There are these are three separate game shows that have premiered in the past.
Did you do research?
2 years? Yes. The Cube, The Floor, and The Wall. They are all different. They are all on different networks. Maybe I didn't look that up.
Okay.
But it's a game show where it's like the floor. Well, there's also a separate one that's The Floor is Lava, but that's kind of a different thing. But the floor has points on it, and the wall. And I'm just
it's always the biggest cash prize of all time.
Yeah.
You've never seen a game show like this.
Yeah. And it's always Rob Lowe hosting it, or
Mario Lopez.
And the same thing with The Masked Singer. What's that other one that's like, guess who
this random person's celebrity relative is.
It's like
based off of their voice.
You hear this person singing, oh, that's actually Princess Diana's mailman. And it's like, okay, who fucking cares? What are we doing?
Did you see like the actual like semi-reality show that was like relatives?
Oh yeah.
You remember seeing that clip of the girl that was like Tom Hanks?
Oh yeah, and he's like the most obvious clone. Yeah, that was crazy.
But you know what show is in? Survivor.
That was my in. That was my in.
Are you joking?
Yes. I literally, let me read you what I wrote here. So I said out network television, point Fire Country, The Cube, The Floor, The Wall, and then in reality TV.
Yes.
With a grain of salt.
Yeah,
sometimes. Or like actual drama, shows like, The Bear, Breaking Bad type of thing, you know. Those are two very different shows.
Yeah, great shows. We genuinely watched we finished a season, like half of a season of Survivor on our drive to Florida. Mm-hmm. Also, allegedly, don't cancel me for this. And then on the way back, genuinely finished an entire season of Survivor.
Yeah. We're obviously late to this. This show's been on for 20 years. And we've watched it kind of on and off for the past few years, but we
are in it right now.
We've recently dove in.
Also, if you're interested, a new season starts tonight.
Yes, February 28th. It is a perfect show. Every single season, you can hop to any other season, and they'll do like, heroes versus villains is the one we just watched, or like, bring this person back, or they add a new twist. There's Redemption Island. There's new tokens. There's all these different games.
We could do an
everything.
entire podcast on breaking down Survivor and just like how it's changed over the years. And if you're into Survivor at all, like now when people find like hidden immunity idols, like in current seasons, it's like, I don't tell anybody, I hide it, I keep it for myself when I feel like I'm in trouble. Oh my gosh, in season 20 of Heroes versus Villains, they would find an idol and be like, well, I guess I gotta play it tonight, and I'm gonna play it for my like second member of my alliance. Like, and it was just like, they used them so quickly.
They threw it to the wind. And it was either that or which it was definitely like newer at that point, but like they would find a clue to it, like in like a reward, like the tribe gets a bag of, supplies or whatever, and they find the clue, and then the whole tribe reads it together, and they're like, oh, I guess we collectively have an idol now. And it's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And then they save it until the merge, like,
how
and everything.
It's changed.
Yeah.
But Survivor, and what other shows? We've been watching The Bear, making our way through The Bear.
Yeah, we like to have multiple shows that are a big contrast of each other
and occur at different times in the day.
Yes.
Whose line is it anyways? Evening
That's
show.
Our nighttime
that is
show.
our right before bedtime.
That's what
show.
I'm eating my cereal.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Survivor is the precursor to that.
Of course. Okay, next one. Out using your debit card.
And we're back in credit card corner.
We don't have to do a whole deal on this, but in obviously using credit card points
responsibly.
Yes. I truly, a lot of this is a testament to you and then also to Ed through you. Ash is much more on top of the points than I am, but I'm also a part of it. I
just tell him what I'm applying him for.
Yeah. But it is crazy just the amount of stuff. We've seriously been, tracking points or whatever for like a year now, maybe. Yeah,
not even. I feel like I really kicked it into gear
like last summer.
Yeah.
It's crazy just the amount of stuff that you just get for free. And it's like, we're not doing any crazy hacking, like I guess kind of to an extent, and you can do a lot more than even we're doing. But it's like, if you are making any amount of money, like you get X amount in your bank account every 2 weeks, and then you're just using your debit card to just spend that money, and you're not earning any points on anything, and then using that to redeem, like, you're just wasting your own money.
And even if you don't like travel, like, you can, I think Ed and I said this in our episode, like, if you're like, like, I just don't really care about travel, like, you can redeem, like, one of the cards I just signed you up for, it was like, hold on to this card until like hit 6,000 or spend $6,000 in 3 months. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, if you just put every purchase on that, like, that you'll get to that amount and then be paying it off, being responsible with it. And we'll give you $750 back.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay. I mean, I was going to spend that $6,000 anyways. Like, now I'm just getting almost $1,000 back.
Yeah. Just for nothing. Yeah, so we don't have to go too deep into that.
This is going to turn into a credit card podcast at the rate that we're going.
But
people are like, please, I'm trying to be responsible.
Okay, out this, I was going to preface it. No, out cheap clothes, cheap things.
You're talking like fast fashion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Cheaply made clothes.
Okay.
Cheap materials, cheap construction, and everything. I could go on forever. Not forever. I'm not that crazy. I could go on for so long about how everything that is made today, everything that is made in 2024, is made to break, and it is made to fall apart so that you buy another one.
Yeah.
And that was never the case, even 30, 50 years ago, whatever. And if you go to like a thrift store, or you go online or whatever and get like a pair of jeans from 20 years ago, well, maybe longer, 30 years ago or whatever, and then wear them down the same amount as a pair of jeans from H&M or whatever now, the H&M jeans will last like 10% as long because they're like stretched denim, and there's like all these other materials in it that are not, they're not made to last, and they're just going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's also a whole sustainability thing with that, and with like the waste of fast fashion. But even if it's not like an eco thing for you, if you hate the environment, it just like it pains me so much. Like, that's a little dramatic.
I stay up at night and
I can't sleep when people wear stretched denim. But it's just like, it is made worse. It looks worse. It doesn't fit right.
Smells worse.
It's all stinky. You ever go to the mall? It stinks. No, I don't know. And just literally almost every piece of like older vintage, if you want to put that buzzword on it, piece of clothing that I have, like, fits better, and it's made better, and it looks better, and like they literally, like, they just don't make them like they used to.
They don't make them like they used to, darling. That is for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my fashion boy soapbox. I have a lot.
That's your out. What was your in?
I guess you could say vintage clothes, or not even if you want to go through the effort of finding vintage stuff or thrifting or going online or whatever. That's obviously a lot. And I'm fine with a mall trip every once in a while if, like, I need this specific type of thing right now.
Tell them about your new cardigan.
I got a new cardigan. No further comment. Like that's fine every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it's like
and for staple pieces.
Yeah. Well, I would disagree with that. I feel like your staple pieces you want to invest in and have them
to be
like
fair,
good quality.
but me investing in staple pieces is just finding a good thrift item that I paid $5 for.
I'm not. Sorry, I don't
a
mean
little
it.
massage.
Oh,
sure. He extended his foot on my leg.
I don't mean invest like a lot of money, but like selecting a good piece of something. Anyway, that's I could
neither here nor there.
Go on for too long about that. Out. This is also an ice cold take. Obviously, everybody knows this. Out.
I just want to include myself in this.
Is just being on your phone all the time. Yeah. And just constantly scrolling. And we're all guilty of it. And that's just how it goes.
I love being online.
I catch myself so many times, like, if I am, like, working and I am, like, editing a video or I'm, like, doing whatever on my laptop and I'm, like, actively focusing on something. And then if I just, like, need a break for a second or I can't think of something or a video's exporting, I'm just on my phone immediately. And then I'm like, what the hell am I doing right now?
Take a walk.
Yeah, literally. Touch grass. Go on Snapchat. It's wild to me. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything that no one's said before, so I don't have to go into it too deep. But it's wild to me, like, everybody is, like, TikTok specifically, I feel like is just, like...
so much information.
Burning a hole in everybody's brain right now. Because it's the algorithm is so good, and I love being on TikTok, and they know that. And...
they got you right where they want you.
It is just like constant like dopamine hits of just like interesting things or funny things or whatever, and it's just like all the time, and I just feel like an iPad kid all the time. But it's so hard to break out of that cycle once you're in it all the time.
Yeah, maybe both of us should delete TikTok.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. At the same time, it is actually a search algorithm for me, search engine for me.
I agree with that.
I spent like some part of today like planning our road trip in May. And I was like, oh, I wonder if anybody has ever done like vlogs on staying in like this area before, staying at this resort. And so I typed in the resort name, found the resort, and they're like, here's what it's like to stay at our campgrounds. I'm like, thank you.
It is great for that. I mainly just have beef that it's like we are just filling every ounce of like free time that you have with, social media. Not even social media, but just like doing anything. Peter, not to throw him under the bus, he's been big into Balloon Tower Defense 6, and it's a great game, but it's just like constant.
You can't out him like that.
Stimulation. I'm
Cole wanted to lose all of his friends this episode.
Sorry everybody. But in contrast to that is having a hobby, having too many hobbies, honestly.
Yeah, you're too busy.
Yeah. I just find myself, like, if I am not working, like if we go to work, we come home, whatever, and then it's like, well, now what am I going to do with the rest of my day? Like, if my options are either, like, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than anybody, because I definitely will also lay on my phone on TikTok forever.
Yeah.
But it's like, from a bird's eye view, like if I could either do that and like have The Cube playing on the TV and then be watching TikTok or whatever, it's just like what is that doing for me? Or I could like go, like, I have multiple hobbies, so like I could go golfing or go paint or like build
just, like,
something.
So good at having
that's
hobbies.
not what I'm saying. I'm so good at starting so many hobbies and then being okay at them. But it's just like, I sometimes like Ash gets like frustrated with me because I'm just like always like, oh, well, like I could, do this project and like build this thing or like, blah,
because
blah, blah, whatever.
It is literally one day. This is how the kitchen happened.
Yeah. No, this is valid.
He woke up and he was like, I hate the kitchen. And I was like, yeah, it's not the best. And he was like, okay, so you want to go to Lowe's later and drop $300? And I'm like, well, wasn't particularly on my to-do list for today. And he's like, well, I am going. And I'm like, okay.
Well, you definitely were about it as well. But yeah, I mean, that's just...
The garage is another example right now. Like, we brought the Peloton back so that he in the basement. So he's like, things need to be rearranged here. And we were in Target. We were in Target last night getting snacks. We were going to a movie. And he's been looking for a specific cabinet that's been sold out at other Targets. And he's like, I'm going to see if this Target has it. And I was like, okay. And I found him in the aisle. And he was like, they have one of them. So I came into Target looking to spend $5 and left spending $50 because they had the specific cabinet.
You know, and now we're going to have a nice cabinet. So, yeah, I mean, that obviously, that is my hobby that sometimes. And that is like one thing. But it doesn't obviously have to be that. Like, I obviously am everything I do is like, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm also very handsome.
Yeah.
No, everything I do is like creative, and I love doing things with my hands. So it's like, you know, that is my outlet of that. But like, you know, you love going to workout classes, and you love baking and like cooking and stuff like that. And like, when we have like a free Saturday, I would like 100% rather we fill it with like us, you know, all, you know, we're doing all of our different hobbies, and like I, you know, do a bunch of stuff, and you're baking, you know, whatever. If the alternative is us literally laying on our phones all day, like that is crazy
like that
to me.
has, I mean, honestly, like the not having weddings like on the weekends and actually having like a Friday and Saturday day off has been, because like obviously we work for a church, so like we work on Sunday, but has been like very healthy for both of us. And I feel like we both have really like pressed into like our hobbies in like this time, and I'm sad like to know what it will be come springtime and like actually like weddings being in the mix again.
Yeah.
But sometimes like, I mean, I genuinely,
hopefully none of our wedding clients are listening to this.
I'm so sad to
I'm
go
gonna
to weddings.
hate to shoot you. That's not true.
But like sometimes I really do enjoy just being like a little vegetable and laying on the couch.
Yeah, there's a time and place for that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not like, I don't feel attacked by you at all. But other times, like I literally wake up and I'm like, I have to bake cinnamon rolls and bread, and I should prep some bone broth, and then like all of these different things like make me feel super motivated to like get stuff ready for the week. And then other times I'm just like, I will be napping all day long.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a balance to everything, obviously. But I just feel like the default is just like, I have free time, I'm gonna lay on my phone. Yeah. You know, because that's how they get you.
Society.
Yeah, obviously none of that is a new take or whatever.
You want to do one more?
You're
like, well, I have 10 more.
I actually only have 2 more, but I'll hit it quick. Okay. This is kind of related. Out is, well, I guess the emphasis on this is not as much the out as it is the in. In is taking pride in making food. In, you have swung real hard into your bread and your homemaking era, and I love that for you. Yeah. And it is so much fun. And I obviously, I also like do that. You definitely cook more than me now. But like even tonight, like we made dinner together, and it was great. And I'm like,
and it was done in 10 minutes.
And it was done in 10 minutes. Yeah. And last night I found a recipe for just like a little mini lava cake. Ugh, and
it was so
it was
good.
Beautiful.
I told Joe and Shayla you were making batter. So.
Oh, well, I guess I'm gonna have to do that. But it's just so much fun. Obviously, like for people that have never cooked before, like especially if you're young and you know you've never had to like cook for yourself, it is like a daunting thing, and there definitely is a lot of levels to it. But once you like get the fundamentals, then you'll like run from there. I don't have to hit on
in
that too much.
like basis of like recipe rotation. Like obviously, I feel like a lot of people know that we're a big steak household.
Of course,
steak is such an easy dinner. Like that's what we had for dinner tonight. And so
once you learn how to cook it, you can do it instantly.
Throw it on the stove, and then we did some Brussels with it as a side. It literally was done so quickly. Yeah. And like we love homemade pasta, and like a lot of my motivations came from wanting things to just be cheaper.
Yeah. So we're big on cooking. My last one, I wish I had a funny one to end on, but this is real.
War out.
In peace. Out is hating your job.
Wow, I love that one.
And I before I get into this, I will say I acknowledge how privileged this sounds. That,
yes,
like,
that's fair.
You know, if you are in a situation, if you're in a job that, like, you have to do that, you can't find anything else. Obviously, the job market's, like, you know, tough right now. Either you can't find anything else, or it's just like you have to do it for whatever reason. Like, that is definitely valid, and, like, that sucks. If you're really unhappy.
Literally, if you're doing, like, what you need to do to support yourself and your family, like, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
my
do
main
what you need to
thing
do.
is hating your job, having the means and the abilities to do something about it, and doing nothing about it.
Yes.
And just sitting in, like, oh, well, nobody likes the job, so I'm just, I don't know whether they're from Brooklyn. You
Nobody likes the job.
Is that your Brooklyn accent? But it's like, you know, so it's just, you know, put my nose to the grindstone and, you know, whatever. And I hate it. And then I come home and then I just, like, you know, do nothing. And it's like, obviously not every job is very exciting. And obviously I acknowledge how privileged we are that, like, we have jobs that we love with coworkers that we love. And we have multiple, you know, like, weddings and, like, you know, other freelance things that are, like, in the field that, like, we love. And I acknowledge how rare that can be.
But also, like, I mean, give yourself some credit too, that, like, we wanted to make more money and we were like, well, what can we do? And, like, we built a photo and video business.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
that was something that we wanted.
Yeah. I just, like, I have such beef. Not beef. I
feel like at the root of it makes you sad.
Yeah. It's so, like, disappointing to see people that I know that are like, this is just my job and there's nothing I can do about it. And it's like, well, no, like, you could, if, you know, if you're quantifying, like, what I don't like about this job, like, either I don't get paid enough, or, like, I don't like going into the office, or I don't like doing this or whatever. It's like, okay, take a what's the word? I don't know. Look at all those factors and then look for another job, or, you know, take up, you know, freelance work on the side to, like, give you more flexibility and freedom and stuff like that. And it's just like, I feel like there is such a, I don't know, state of being, such a mindset that was definitely from, like, you know, boomers and, like, the older generations that are like, you know, you work hard and you shut up about it, you know, and, you know, that type of thing, which, like, again, there is, like, you know, something that is the case sometimes. But it's like, you can find joy in, like, any position, and I don't know, it's just, it's very disappointing to see people, specifically when they have the ability to do something about it, and they just are, like, complacent in, you know, whatever their situation is. Anyway, I feel like I took over this entire podcast, and I'm just attacking people that I know. So maybe we might have to cut this down a little bit.
I mean, you're the editor, and it has to be up in a few hours, so,
yeah, so this
it's
is
all up to you, man.
This is unfiltered.
All right. Well, I have a Mac bid that's ending in 2 minutes. So that's what I've been watching. It keeps sending me notification that people are outbidding me. I was listening, of course.
Of course you are.
Of course.
Yes.
So in conclusion, put your toes away. Get a new job.
Delete Snapchat.
Cut out all the friends that you don't like. Anything else?
Watch Survivor.
And not Fire Legend or
Fire Country.
Fire Country.
All new season of Fire.
If you're watching The Cube, The Floor, The Wall, I don't trust you.
The Masked Singer.
I'm actually scared of you. But yeah, we love you guys. And thanks for coming to Being Attacked by the Zimmermans.
Yes.
On the podcast.
Thank you for the soapbox, you know, the platform you gave
Cole's
me.
really just been waiting and holding all of that in for his opportunity.
Yeah.
He knew this moment was going to happen. And so he's like, thank you so much.
Thank you for the sounding board for me to yell about things that don't matter.
Yeah. Well, you have lava cakes to make, so we're gonna wrap this up. And anything you want to say to the people?
No. If you're still with us, I hope that I did not come off as a dick.
And that's all she wrote. We love you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.